we have discussed the English point of view or the point of view of the imperialists who were our rulers as to how and why patriotism developed in India and how nationalism developed in India. They argued that how their rule was responsible for this. But the Indian nationalists, whether it is Dadabhai Naoroji, Mahatma Gandhi, I cannot take everybody's name, B.R. Ambedkar and a host of others rejected this idea, the arguments of our imperialist friends, English people. They said what they have said is not correct and they advance counter arguments. What is the counter argument? That India as a country was always known as a distinct land. We need not get into details. Even when Alexander comes to India and he uses the word India and describes what India is, he says the land beyond the Sindhu river and capped by the Himalayas, bounded by the three great the ocean, Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal, Indian Ocean and the Arabic Sea or the Indian Ocean, as a whole the Indian Ocean. Even at that time, India was always a distinct land. I have already told you how Kharavelo used the word Bharatavarsha at the beginning of the Christian era, Common Era, BCE, before Common Era and after Common Era. So, the concept of India is not a gift of English rule over India. And there were kings like Akbar, like Ashoka, who ruled over a bigger India than the British India even. So, it is not the English who created India. India existed from time immemorial and it is a country of great heritage, a great civilization and past. It was not created by the English. The Vedic literature describes major rivers and mountains from west to east as Uttarapatha and from north to south as Dakshinapatha. Beautiful descriptions of India figure in Mahabharata. When Arjuna travels through India from Delhi to Assam, from Assam to Tamil Nadu, from Kerala to Gujarat and Rajasthan. You know, Arjuna had to travel, go in for 1 year's travel. I need not tell you the story. When I tell you in Odia, I will tell you shortly. And Kalidasa in his poem Meghadutam describes how the monsoon clouds move from Kerala right up to Kashmir. Beautiful descriptions of India are there in our Indian literature. I have given you only 2 examples. There are many more. And the Ramayana describes north and central India in great detail. The inscriptions of India from the earliest to the medieval period provide ample proof of the existence of India as a single country. History of India bears testimony to great pan-Indian empire built by the Mauryas, the Guptas, the Sultanates, Mughals and numerous other regional empires. Sanskrit and Bhasha literature are full of expressions like Bharata, Matrubhumi, Bharatavarsha, Janmabhumi, Janani Janmabhumi, Sargadvasi, Gariyasi, Swadeshi, Swaraj. The concept of democracy was also present in the Ganarajyas, which were ruled by a group of elders in the place of a king. Many freedom fighters trace their struggle for freedom to India's past and not to the English ideas. Janani Janmabhumi Swargadapi Gariyasi, the mother and motherland are higher than heaven itself. English colonial rule acted as a catalyst for uniting the people of India. The key words Swadeshi emerged. Words of Swaraj, Vatan, Vataniyat were also used for independence and patriotism in the nationalist lexicon. Patriotic values are essential for nation building and the inspiration came from within the country, not from outside the country. The Indian argument, let me explain 1 or 2 of them little in greater detail, that Indian scholars and freedom fighters reject the English argument. They say India as a country was always known from its ancient history. The Vedic literature, very interestingly, when it gives you descriptions of the river, it starts with Kabul river and then comes up to right up to Baitarani in Odisha. So, it gives you a list of rivers right from river Indus, river Kabul in Afghanistan presently, then geographically as each occur, the description follows like that. Once they come, the entire North India is described, then when they start the South India, they start from Tapti, Narmada, they start from Narmada, Tapti, they go on downwards, right up to say Krishna, Kaveri and all that. So they move, it is very systematically. If they did not know the land, they could not have described the river so scientifically in such an ordered manner. India was always known as Jambu Dipo to its own people. India is not a creation of the English, that is not correct. Similarly, there is a lot of description of India in Kalidasa's Meghadutam, in Mahabharata, central India is well described in the Ramayana and all that. And as I told you, inscriptions of various kings bear this testimony. So, it is from our own history, from our own culture that we developed a concept of patriotism. Yes, we do not reject the contribution of West. Our Indians also studied John Stuart Mill, our Indians also studied the Magna Carta, they also studied the American War of Independence, they were aware of the Russo-Japanese War in 1905. It is not that we did not know about that, but to say that England created, English people created a nationalist movement in India will be wrong. But foreign rule, foreign rule who acted as a catalyst. भारतीय माने अंग्रेजी चिंतक मानकर जो आर्गुमेंट चिंताधारा वक्तव्य जो रहा जे सेमाने सृष्टि कले भारतवर्ष जातीयवाद ताको आदौ ग्रहण करूना एवं कहते जे आमे आम इतिहास महाभारत रामायण आमर वैदिक परंपरा आमे सब गोटे देश बोलिक आमर वर्णना रही लोक भाव मनोभाव रही यार केबेले विच्युति घटी ना एवं अनेक गुड़े क्षेत्रीय राजा थिले तार अर्थ नुह जे भारतीय मानक भितर ऐक्य भाव नथिला भारतीय मानक भितर काल काले तार इतिहास रे ऐक्य भाव देखा देछि कालिदासंकर मेघदूत काव्य जेपरि भाव में मेघ केरल रे सृष्टि कि काश्मीर पर्यंत वर्षा को आगे नौची तार भारी निपुण चित्र अच्छे महाभारत रे अर्जुन जितेबाला कौन कार्य जड़े ब्राह्मण आसी पाटी कला गाई की किए चोरई नहीं एवं से धनु आणवाक गला बेलू दुर्योधन स्त्री सहित अच्छा एवं से प्रतिज्ञा अनुसार भारत को बुलवाक खाला वर्ष बुलवाक खाला एवं से आरंभ कर बर्तमान जो दिल्ली अच्छी इंद्रप्रस्थ से ही पाखु आरंभ करके से आसाम पर्यंत जाऊँ आसाम रू फेरे बंगला ओडिशा होगी तल पर्यंत जाऊँ तमिलनाडु पर्यंत तमिलनाडु ऊपर को उठा आरंभ कर उठिक सी पूरा जाऊँ गुजरात पर्यंत राजस्थान गुजरात पर्यंत जाऊँ एवं सेठी से सुभद्रा को विवाह कर जो वर्णना अच्छी भारतर वर्णना अच्छी एवं राम जेपरी वर्णना अच्छी राम जे पर्यंत श्रीलंका पर्यंत गले तार जो वर्णना अच्छी विभिन्न साहित्य रे कवितार आमर सब शिलालेख है ताम्रलिपि रे भारतर जो वर्णना अच्छी काले काले आम जाचु भारत एक देश थिला एवं भारतीय जातीय पुरुष माने से माने कहउछन्ति जे आम निजे इतिहास रु आमे उद्बोधित होइछु एक कथा निश्चित भाव सत्य किंतु अपर पक्षरे आमे मध्य मानिबा को बाध्य जेहेतु इंग्रेज माने आसिक फॉरेनर्स माने आसिक विदेशी माने हमको शासन कले ताकू निश्चित भाव प्रतिरोध करने आम चाहलु तेणु निश्चित भाव ताकू विरोध करने चाहलु कारण आम विदेशी आमको शासन करंतु एक कथा आम केबे भी चाहि नथिलु जेहेतु विदेशी माने आसी शासन कले से माने अत्याचार कले से माने भारतर जातीय उद्देश्य जो जो थे काम हवा कथा जो आमर कल्याण करवा कथा ताहा नकरी जो आमको क्षति पहुँचेले आमर अभूत क्षति है तेणु आम से कथा निश्चित भाव में उठेलु बेले बेले प्रश्न करती सीरियसली कहती जे प्रकृत में कौन विदेशी शासन एवं इंग्लैंड वाला आसवा फल आम देश है जदि से न आसता कौन पोस्ट एंड टेलीग्राफ हो न रेलवे हो न नदी बंध बंधा हो न आधुनिक रास्ताकरण हो न यार उत्तर आम मैंने कहूँ इतिहास छात्र मैंने कहूँ आगे जापान तो विदेशी मान कबल को आसी नाला 1870 ପରେ ସେଠାରେ କିପରି ଆଧୁନିକ କଥା ସବୁ ହେଲା। ୟୁରୋପରେ ତ ସବୁ ଦେଶ ଅନ୍ୟ ଦେଶ ଅଧୀନରେ ଆସିନଥିଲା, କିନ୍ତୁ ଯାହା କିଛି ନୂଆ କଥା ଆବିଷ୍କାର ହେଉଥିଲା, ଉଦ୍ଭାବନ ହେଉଥିଲା, ଗୋଟାଏ ଦେଶରେ ଆଉ ଗୋଟାଏ ଦେଶକୁ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ବ୍ୟାପି ଯାଉଥିଲା କି ନାହିଁ। ବରଂ ସ୍ୱାଧୀନ ଥିଲେ ଭାରତ, ଆମେ ଆଧୁନିକକରଣ ଆଡ଼କୁ ଅଗ୍ରଗତି ଅଧିକ ଶୀଘ୍ର କରିଥାନ୍ତୁ। ଏହା ଏକ ଯେଉଁମାନେ ପାଶ୍ଚାତ୍ୟ ଦେଶର ଲୋକ ତାଙ୍କର ଭୁଲ ଧାରଣା ଯେ ବିଜ୍ଞାନ ତାଙ୍କର ଅବଦାନ, ଆଧୁନିକତା ତାଙ୍କର ଅବଦାନ। Neither modernity nor modern science is an exclusive gift of the West. Many civilizations have contributed. India has contributed. Arab civilizations, Middle East civilization, Egyptian civilization, Euphrates and Tigris civilization which belong to the Arabic world and the Iraq, Iran. All these people have contributed immensely right up to medieval times, even in modern times, to science and technology. It is not a gift of alone of West. Science and technology belongs to the humanity as a whole. So also nationalism. Nationalism is not a gift of the West to India. ଏହା ଏକ ବିଦେଶୀ ମାନଙ୍କର ଆମ ପ୍ରତି ଦୟା ଥିଲା, ଅବଦାନ ଥିଲା କହିବା ସତ୍ୟର ଅପଳାପ ହେବ। ସତ୍ୟ ହେଉଛି ଆଧୁନିକତା ଯଦି ଦେଶ ସ୍ୱାଧୀନ ହୋଇଥାନ୍ତା ତାହେଲେ ଅତି କ୍ଷିପ୍ର ଗତିରେ ଭାରତବର୍ଷରେ ପ୍ରବେଶ କରିଥାନ୍ତା। ବରଂ ବିଦେଶୀ ଶାସନ ଥିବା ଫଳରେ ବିଜ୍ଞାନର ଯୁଗ ଭାରତକୁ ଆସିବାରେ ପ୍ରତିବନ୍ଧକ ସୃଷ୍ଟି କଲା ଏବଂ ତାହା ଡେରି କଲା। So this is what is we must understand, that this is the cause why, when you ask why nationalism came to India, of course the answer is foreign rule, the other is the inspiration from India within. ଆମେ ଯଦି ପଚାରିବା କାହିଁକି ଭାରତବର୍ଷରେ ଜାତୀୟବାଦର ଉଦ୍ରେକ ଘଟିଲା, ତାହେଲେ ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଭାବରେ ପ୍ରଥମ ଉତ୍ତର ହେଉଛି ବିଦେଶୀ ଶାସନ ଫଳରେ ହେଲା। ଆମକୁ ବିଦେଶୀମାନେ ଶାସନ କରିବାରୁ ଆମେ ସେଥିରୁ ସ୍ୱାଧୀନତା ଚାହିଁଲୁ। ଦ୍ୱିତୀୟ କଥା ହେଉଛି ଆମ ନିଜ ଇତିହାସରୁ, ଆମ ନିଜ ସଂସ୍କୃତିରୁ, ଆମ ନିଜର ଜାତୀୟବାଦ ଆମ ଭିତରୁ ଉଠିକି ଆସିଲା ଏବଂ ସେଥିରେ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ୍ ସୋର୍ସେସ୍ ମାନେ ରହିଛି। ଏବଂ ଆଉ ଶେଷ କଥା ହେଉଛି ଆଧୁନିକତା ବା ଆଧୁନିକ ରାଜନୈତିକ ଏବଂ ଟେକ୍ନୋଲୋଜିକାଲ ଆଡ଼ଭାଣ୍ଟେଜ ଯେଉଁ ଶିଳ୍ପ ବିପ୍ଳବ ହେଉ ବା ଅନ୍ୟାନ୍ୟ ଶିଳ୍ପ କଥା ଉଠୁ, ଭାରତ ସ୍ୱାଧୀନ ଥିଲେ ଆହୁରି କ୍ଷିପ୍ର ଗତିରେ ଅଗ୍ରଗତି ଘଟିଥାନ୍ତା। ବରଂ ବିଦେଶୀ ଶାସନ ଥିବା ଫଳରେ ଏସବୁରେ ଟିକେ ଡେରି ହେଲା। ତା'ର କାଉଣ୍ଟର ଉଦାହରଣ ଆମେ ଦେଉଛେ ଯେ ଜାପାନ, ଯାହାକି ବିଦେଶୀ କବଳରେ ନଥିଲା, ସେଠି ଶିଳ୍ପର ଉନ୍ନତି ଖୁବ୍ ଶୀଘ୍ର ଘଟିଲା। ଏବଂ ୟୁରୋପରେ କୌଣସି ବିଜ୍ଞାନ କଥାକୁ ନେଇକରି, କାରିଗର କୌଶଳୀ କଥାକୁ ନେଇକି, ଟେକ୍ନୋଲୋଜିକୁ ଯାଇକି ଯେତେବେଳେ ନୂଆ କଥା କୌଣସି ଗୋଟିଏ ଦେଶରେ ଆସିଯାଉଥିଲା, ତାହା ଅନ୍ୟ ଦେଶକୁ ଖୁବ୍ ଶୀଘ୍ର ବ୍ୟାପି ଯାଉଥିଲା। କାହିଁକି ବ୍ୟାପୁଥିଲା ନା ସେଠାରେ ସ୍ୱାଧୀନତା ଥିଲା, ତାହା ବିଦେଶୀ ଶାସନ କବଳରେ ନଥିଲା। ତେଣୁ ବିଦେଶୀ ଶାସନ ଦ୍ୱାରା ଆମକୁ ତାଙ୍କର ଅବଦାନ ନୁହଁ, ଇଏ ଆମ ଭିତରୁ ଯେଉଁ ନୂଆ ଚେତନା ଆସିଲା, ନବଚେତନା ଆସିଲା, ସେହି ନବଚେତନାକୁ ଆମେ କହିବା ଯେ ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ ଦେଶରେ ଜାତୀୟବାଦର ଉଦ୍ରେକ ଘଟିଲା। Now let us come to the concept of nation building. What do we mean by nation building? Nation building means the process of constructing or structuring a national identity. Nation building means structuring a national identity, that we are Indians. Now many a time there is a concept in India where we say India is a nation in the making. India is a nation in the making. You see, it is true. It is true. There is nothing wrong in it. How is India is a nation in the making? I will give you the example of Odisha itself. In 1903, by 1903, Utkal Samaj was established. Utkal Sammelani was established, not Samaj. Utkal Sammelani was established. The leading figure was, of course, Barrister Madhusudan Das. And Madhusudan Das wanted to create an Odisha as a separate province within the British Empire, because parts of Odisha were under Bengal, parts of Odisha were under Madras Presidency, and parts were under Nagpur Agency. Sambalpur region was under Nagpur Agency, Cuttack, Puri, Baleshwar and part of Ganjam was under Calcutta, and Ganjam, Koraput and other districts, other coastal portions of Odisha were under Madras Presidency. Western Odisha, Sambalpur, Kalahandy, Balangir and all these were under Nagpur Agency, which was under the Marathas. Koraput and part of Ganjam which was under the Nizam went over to Madras presidency, and coastal Odisha was under the Bengal presidency. So, Odisha was bifurcated. So, Madhubabu wanted Odisha to become one state first for protection of Odia language and culture. We are Odias. Now, when Gopabandhu comes to freedom struggle in the 1920s, and Gandhian freedom movement has started in Odisha and in India, Gandhi had himself come to Odisha several times. So, Gopabandhu said, let us wait for India to become independent. After India becomes independent, definitely we will work for a separate province of Odisha within the independent India, not under British. So, there was conflict. There was little conflict, because we had strong regional identity, we had our own linguistic identity. So, India is that kind of a story. Even in Gujarat, many people felt that Gujarat should come out of Bombay presidency. It could happen only after independence, Gujarat becoming a separate province, Gujarati speaking people under a state. Simultaneously with Odisha, Sindh Pradesh was created, which is now in Pakistan, because Sindhis did not want to lose their identity under Bombay presidency. So, when India as an independent country emerges in 1947, there are many sub-regional identities which were working against each other at times, but there was an overriding Indianness. So, naturally, after independence, the people of India have to naturally grow their national identity and sacrifice their regional identity to an extent. We could not reconcile the Hindu-Muslim identity as Indian identity. That is why Pakistan became a separate country. Otherwise, it could not, it need not have. If every Muslim, those who created Pakistan, felt that they are part of India and two different religions can live under one country, when several religions are living in one country, what was wrong in two religions living in one country? But they did not. Partly the Hindus failed in creating that confidence in them, and partly they had no confidence on the Hindus. So, I am not talking in terms of right and wrong, but I am talking of failure. So, naturally, India is a country in the making. Similarly, there are many northeastern states, Arunachal Pradesh, say, or Sikkim earlier. Though these were parts of India, there are cultural differences between one state to the other state. And suppose you compare Sikkim with Tamil Nadu, you compare Odisha with Tamil Nadu, there are differences. And when you compare it with Sikkim with Tamil Nadu, the differences are far greater even. So, naturally, in all these countries, in all these territories, far-flung territories, creating a common cultural identity is a continuous process. That is why we say India is a nation in making. Patriotism hinges on individual placing the interest of nation above their personal, group and regional interest. This I have explained to you several times, I will not do that. So, nation राष्ट्र गठन कहला बेलू कहुचे जे भारत रे राष्ट्र गठन गोटे अविरत व्यवस्था कंटिन्यूअस प्रोसेस कौन हो ना भारत जो गोटे देश हिसाब से उभरिक आसला 47 मसीह से राज्य मानकर जो परिचय रही जपरिक ओडिशा रे 1903 उत्कल सम्मेलन है मधु चाहिए जे ओडिशा एकाठी हो बंगाल थिबा अंश जहाँकि कटक पुरी बालेश्वर गंजाम गोटे अंश आउ गोटे जोटा मद्रास प्रेसिडेंसी थिला गंजाम किसी अंश आ बर्तमान अविभक्त कोरापुट जिला जहाँकि मद्रास प्रेसिडेंसी अंडर थिला एवं जो गुड़ाक मराठा शासन करते संबलपुर कलाहांडी बलांगीर छत्तीसगढ़ को लगिक जो सब अच्छी बर्तमान झारखंड को लगिक छत्तीसगढ़ को लगिक जो जिला गुड़िक अच्छी ता से काल में नागपुर एजेन्सी अधीन थिला से समस्त ओडिया भाषा भाषी लोक मान एकाठी करके गोटे राज्य सृष्टि करवाटा को बहुत गुरुत्व देते मधुसूदन दास 1920 जो भारत ओडिशा रे जातीय आंदोलन विशेष भाव प्रभाव पड़ा गांधी नेतृत्व में से गोपबंधु कहले जे ओडिशा हम अलग हम निश्चित भाव हम ताकू से विरोध करनते ताकू भी सी भी समर्थन करते किंतु कहते आम स्वाधीनता पर्यंत अपेक्षा कले चलो। तेणु यही जो विभिन्न कॉम्पिटिटिव ये जो भारतीय चिंताधारा एवं ओडिशा एक गोटे भिन्न राज्य हम तार जो चिंताधारा ये सब जगह बेले बेले परस्पर विरोधी भाई मन हुए किंतु प्रकृतिर विरोधी नुह। से गुजरात भी गोटे अलग राज्य नाला, आंध्र प्रदेश गोटे अलग राज्य नाला। तेणु यही सब जो कथा एवं भारत जो स्वाधीन होची आमर ये विविधता सत्वे ये जो ऐक्य भावटा को आहरी सुदृढ़ कर आवश्यकता अच्छे। विशेष करके आमर उत्तर पूर्व अंचल राज्य गुड़िक धर सिक्किम है, अरुणाचल प्रदेश है, नागालैंड है, सेमानकर भारतर अन्य राज्य सहित सांस्कृतिक एकत्व सेते सुदृढ़ नथिला। जेतिकी जेतिकी समय आगे चली भारत सेतिकी सेतिकी सुदृढ़ ही चलती एवं ऐक्य भाव एक भारत को एक गोटे देश गोटे राष्ट्र हिसाब से निर्माण कर चलीचे। इंडिया इज ए नेशन इन द मेकिंग। खाली सेतिकी नुह, रास्ता घाट तैयारी करवा, सबु अंचल को सबु अंचल सहित जोड़वा इत्यादि इत्यादि कथा जहाँ अनेक समय खाली सरकार करना, हिंदी सिनेमा भी करुच्ची बेले बेले, हाँ सांस्कृतिक माध्यम भी होची, संगीत माध्यम भी होची नुह कि बेले बेले तमिल गीत सारा भारत में प्रचार कर जाऊँ हिट हो जाऊँ। हाँ मुकाबिला हो किंबा से आउ किसी गीत हो तुम देखुचे आम देखुचे किपरि भारत ऐक्य भाव बढ़ी बढ़ी चली। सो इंडिया इज ए नेशन इन दी मेकिंग। आ द्वितीय कथा होची ता तो बहु बार आलोचना करिचे जे राष्ट्र गठन मुख्य कथा होची व्यक्तिगत स्वार्थ को जलांजलि दे देशर स्वार्थ को आगे नवा। रोल ऑफ पैट्रियटिज्म इन नेशन बिल्डिंग, रेस्पेक्ट नेशन सिंबल्स, ट्रेडिशंस, हेरिटेज, respects the sentiments of fellow countrymen and contributes constructively to the growth and well-being of the nation. India has a flag, India has a national symbol. Now when India plays cricket, we wear blue dresses, our cricket team plays in blue dress. The blue dress also inspires the Indians. So there are many sentiments and fellow countrymen of fellowship and all that which contributes to our freedom, which contributes to growth of sentiments of nation building, and this is also part of nation building. This is very constructive. The other thing is chauvinism, regionalism, narrow-mindedness, sectarianism, racial superiority impede the development of a nation. If you are narrow, if you are chauvinistic, suppose you lose a game, you lose a cricket match against Australia, should you stop being patriotic? Should you not accept it in sportsman spirit that if somebody is playing better than us, we must say that yes, they are playing better, we must improve our game. Let us not be chauvinistic, saying that they played foul, that they have won the match through illegal means. No, that is not the case. That is chauvinism. Chauvinism will not serve our purpose. Similarly, once we are one country, if you fight over one state fights over the other state, if we do not resolve our conflict of territory, if we do not resolve water disputes amongst us, then what will happen? A time will come where the country will break up. These are dangerous things. Similarly, narrow-minded, you are not broad-minded to accept difference of opinion. You act sectarianism, you believe in one religion and act according to your religion. Or you think that Aryans are superior than the Dravidians, or the Dravidians are superior, or the Aboriginals are inferior to us, or the Aboriginals think that the Aryans are superior, we are superior to the Aryans. This you will not do. This will not help in the development of a nation. So that is why it is very important that in nation building, patriotism has a role. देश गठन रे, राष्ट्र गठन रे जातीयवादर देशभक्तिर दीटा कथा रही। गोटे हूँ आत्मसम्मान रहा दरकार, जथा जमी आम जातीय पताका को सम्मान करुचे, जातीय संगीत बोला को छिड़ा होचे इत्यादि इत्यादि कथा एवं राष्ट्र प्रति आम प्रदर्शन करुचे एवं से भाया से सब हूँ पॉजिटिव पैट्रियटिज्म कथा बहु आलोचना करुचे, अन्य कथा कहबार मोर किसी आवश्यकता नहीं। एवं अपर पक्षरे राष्ट्र गठन को रे नकारात्मक भूमिका कौन ग्रहण करिवो, कौन नकारात्मक हम जदि इंडिया ऑस्ट्रेलिया खेल होची इंडिया हारीगला तार अर्थ आम क्रिकेट पड़िया भितर को पशिजा ऑस्ट्रेलिया वाला को पानी बोतल फोपाड़ा ताल कौन हम ता राष्ट्रवाद सपक्ष ना जदि आम मैंने हिंदू मुसलमान हिसाब से केवल काम करवा बा गोटे राज्यर भाव में काम करवा ओडिया बंगाली माने लड़ाई करवा बा आम भितर थिबा सब जो आंध्र ओडिशा भितर थिबा जो सीमा विवाद को आम न तुटेबा कर्णाटक तमिलनाडु भितर थिबा जल विवाद जदि आम न तुटेबा ताहले राष्ट्र गठन हो पारिबो कि ताहले राष्ट्र गठन हो पारिबो नाही। राष्ट्र गठन गोटे प्रक्रिया जहाँकि थरे देश होगला बोली भाविले हम नहीं ताकू सबुबले जाग्रत रहिबाक हबो सजाग रहिबाक हबो जे देशर एकत्र भाव कौन सी प्रकार रे से बाधा जेपरी न पड़े एवं व्यक्तिगत स्वार्थ रे देश को स्वार्थ को जदि जलांजलि देवा ताहले जहाँ आज भारत होइकी रही ता भविष्य रहिबो नहीं। राष्ट्र गठन गोटे अनवरत रास्ता अनवरत प्रक्रिया एवं से अनवरत प्रक्रिया को आमे चालू रखिबा। Then we come to the concept of good citizenship. I have already dealt to you what is a citizenship, how it is a legal concept. In the beginning of this chapter I have dealt with it. Similarly, Professor Ashok Das in his initial lecture has also talked about what is citizenship, what is civil society and all that. Let us not get back into that. Let us now look into characteristics of good citizenship. मु बर्तमान आ गोटे दिग को आसुची जे भल नागरिक किए से नागरिक तो कहले कौन ताहा आईनगत भाव में कौन बुझाए से कथा आम मूलर आलोचना करें। प्रोफेसर अशोक दास मध्य तांकर जो प्राक कथन रे यही समस्त कथा ये जो कथा आम पढ़ुचे पैट्रियटिज्म कथा पढ़ुचे ये सब कथा पूरापूरी एवं ता आगुरु संविधान रो मूल्यबोध कथा जो पढ़ीचे ये सब गोटे कथारू आसुची से होची भल नागरिक हवा किपरि आमे भल नागरिक हवा। तेणु तार तत्वगढ़ को गति न करी तार आईन रे तर्जमा न करी आउ अधिक तर्जमा न करी केमिति जने भल नागरिक हवा भल नागरिकर लक्षण कौन से विषय चलो आलोचना करिबा। गुड सिटीजन इन्वॉल्व्स मल्टीपल कंपोनेंट्स इंक्लूडिंग वैल्यूज नॉर्म्स ethical ideals behavior expectations of participation. Some of the attributes of good citizenship include voting in every election, learning about the country's history, showing respect for government institutions, engaging in constructive political discussions, participating in peaceful protest against laws believed to be unjust, taking part in activities to benefit people in local community, engaging in activities in promoting human rights, involving oneself in activities to protect the environment, obeying the laws of the land, being morally not evading responsibility for paying taxes, showing solidarity with others, and these are the things. Now, what is good citizenship? It involves many things. But basically, let us come back to the principles, not the theories relating to, not the political theories, not to the legal discussions, which we have done partially for understanding the concept at the beginning of the chapter. Now, what are it? What are the fundamental? You have to have moral values. If you are an immoral person, you do not follow the norms, ethical ideals, behaviors and expectations of the participation, then you cannot be a good citizen. There is a very interesting story people tell. Now, the father is angry with his son. He says, why did you steal the pencil of your friend? I would have brought it from office. Is he teaching him ethics? No. He is asking his son not to steal pencil from his friend, but he is saying, I will steal it from my office. Is this ethics? So, ethics is at every step. The entire discussion in this unit is about what is right and wrong as citizens. So, if you do something wrong, you do not go to flag hoisting in your office and you tell your son that go to school for flag hoisting. He will not go. He will say, Papa, you are not going. So, you are not standing up when the national anthem is played. Then are you ethical? Are you a patriotic? Can you teach patriotism without practicing it? Absolutely not. You cannot teach patriotism when you do not practice it. because youngsters will follow you. You have to be an ethically ideal person. You have to behave as you are expected to behave, not otherwise. Similarly, you are required to vote in every election. Voting is a sacred duty. Otherwise, how can there be a representative government if people do not vote? So, that is why the election commission in India runs several campaigns before voting takes place. You must know your history. If you do not know your own history, your own country's history, you cannot be an inspired Indian. To whichever country you belong, you must read the history of your own country. Know your country. If possible, if you have some money, visit the country. Go to nook and corner of India. Go for Bharat Darshan. Some of you may not have the money, but it does not matter today. If you can have internet connection, or even go to a internet cafe and you can see India virtually. If you do not read the history of India, if you do not see the country, how can you promote patriotism? How can you construct the nation? Nation building cannot take place without being a good citizen, and a good citizen is somebody who has read the history, who discharges his responsibility, who is public spirited. Public spirited. How can you be public spirited? Now, there is Rath Yatra is going on, there is a huge crowd, police is making some announcement for crowd management, and you refuse to obey. You should actually come forward to help the police, if you are young, if you are capable otherwise. So, if you are not public spirited, there is an accident, you must inform the police. If you have a mobile phone, you have to ring 100 and say, we are standing here, there is an accident. You have to, if you know the ambulance number, you know the hospital number, emergency number, you ring to 102 and inform that there is an accident, please send an ambulance here. Or if there is a fire, you ring up the fire station people. So, you must be public spirited. You will say, oh, how does it matter to me, let the fire go on, somebody else will telephone the fire station. That is not being public spirited. No country can remain patriotic, no nation building can be done without this public spirit, if you are not public spirited. If you do not obey the law, it can be a simple law of walking on the left side of the road. If you do not pay the taxation, you evade taxation, then also from the taxation money only the welfare of the country can be done. If you do not pay your taxes, how can you be a patriot? So, you destroy the environment, you not only jeopardize your own future of your own country, but you are actually harming the entire mankind. So, you have to protect the environment, and if possible, you should be able to plant trees, you should do positive things, at least do not do negative things, at least you can refrain from negative things. So, that is very important, protection of the environment, and you can go on giving more and more examples from where you know how you can be a great citizen. Who is a citizen? This is only to repeat what I have said earlier. Legally recognized subject or a national of a state is called a citizen. Citizen and one who has the power or authority to seek any office and to vote any election. An inhabitant of a particular town or city or country is a citizen. A citizen is a participatory member. This is more important. Citizen is a participatory member of the political community. All that I have said to you earlier, that you must give vote, that you must protect the environment, that these are the participation. You are a participatory member. Citizenship is gained by meeting the legal requirement of a national, state or a local government. A nation grants certain rights and privileges to its citizens. In return, citizens are expected to obey the country's law and defend it against enemies. All these we have explained in our earlier classes.